Kejap. Alright.
So, everyone, we're gonna start in 1 minute.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Disability Inclusion webinar. My name is Nurul from the Communication Department and will be responsible for hosting this webinar alongside with my partner, Brother Muhammad Amsyar. We managed to convince two honorable guests, Mr. V.Murugeswaran, the founder of Damai Association, and our Miss Aida, a law student and para Sukma athlete, to share with us their experiences and thoughts about today's topic, neuromuscular disorder. And now here is our special guest, Mr. V.Murugeswaran. You may please introduce yourself to the audience.
My name is Murugeswaran Virasamy. You can call me as Muru. I'm the president for Damai Disabled Person Association Malaysia.
Okay, thank you for a brief introduction, Mr. Murugeswaran. Now we're going to our next speaker, which is Miss Aida. Miss Aida, may you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, my name is Aida Solehah Binti Fauzi. I am 21 years old, currently in my fourth semester, studying in law degree. Hopefully, hopefully we can hopefully we can do well in this session.
Hopefully, yeah. Okay, now we're going to start with our first question, directed for Miss Aida. The question is, what are the challenges that you have always faced since young as person having neuromuscular disorder?
Uh, so the the challenges that I faced since young, I don't think the challenges is all myself alone myself. The challenges is also faced by my parents, of course, because they are with me when I was born, right? So I think the challenges that I encountered when I was young is um, the challenges I encountered since I was young. Uh, wait a minute. I'm so sorry for the interruption. So the challenges I encountered since I was born is not fully on myself. I didn't saya tak tanggung challenges itu berseorangan sebab I have my parents as well, right? So saya rasa the challenges that I encountered from since I was young is of course physical limitation. Uh, when of course I I saw my friends playing with other friends. I am so jealous. I wanted to play with them, but I can't play with them due to my physical limitation, right? So uh, since, since I was in my middle school, macam banyak kelas yang dekat atas tau. So saya tak boleh naik tangga at that moment lah, sebab due to my physical limitation, otot I lemah and so on. So I tak boleh naik tangga semua tu. So belajar belajar pun also sedikit sebanyak challenges, but I encounter it because due to positive environment around me.
So I think that's all what you're going to say, Miss Aida. So thank you for your willingly to share. You're willing to share your struggle with us. And this question is mainly for Mr. Murugeswaran. So Mr. What inspired you to start Damai?
Thank you. Damai was formed in 1998. The main reason we formed Damai in 1998 is to help people with disabilities in this country to lead an independent life. Yeah? What inspire me means, well, in other countries, people with disabilities during that time, through my experience that I encountered, people with disabilities there are living life like everybody else, where they have barrier-free environment, they have accessible transportation system, they have access to job opportunity, they have access to education. All these things are smooth and easy for them in countries like US, Japan. Uh, I had a chance to go there to see all these things. So I thought, why not we start something like that here to help people with disabilities in terms of giving them confidence and also in terms of guiding them how to go about it to live life independently. And also, we were thinking that a lot of things are also related to what they call that policy matters, where the decision makers has to make the changes. So, because of that, we also form a team as an organization to work with the government as well to help them to do the right things, to allocate enough budget, uh, in their policy, they make sure they include the needs of people with disabilities, whatever the new thing that they're bringing in to the country, like transportation system. Let's say they're doing a new building, a new township, they must make sure that they include people with disabilities. So we were there since 1998 to take part, to involve in all the most of the new things that's happening in the country to make sure that they don't do the same mistake that they do last time, right? See, when you build something, you must make sure that you build it according to the universal design standard, and the environment or the thing that you're doing must be able to use by all walks of people. Yeah, that's our main intention. I think we managed to achieve to certain level, but long way to go.
Very much inspired me to become volunteer in your association. Okay, moving on to the next question. How can I address this question for Mr. Murugeswaran? How can we change the attitudinal barriers, and how can we make this world more inclusive for person with disability?
That's a tough question. If you want to change someone's mental, someone's attitude, it's very, very difficult. Yeah? But what you can do is you can actually educate them to make the changes. Who can play the major role in making that? Is a media, definitely media can do a lot of play important role in this, because we have the national media and also we have social media now, what we can do is, last time, I don't know whether, I think you are students very young. I think during 1980s, 1970s, there's a lot of clip videos on the RTM channel where when you take a bus, what are the things that you can do, what are the things you shouldn't do, how you should behave, when you see elderly person, should you give a seat, this type
Yeah.
of advertisement that you can see last time, what are the do's and the don'ts. I don't see that kind of videos, advertisement in medias anymore. I think we should have that to educate even the small children to understand uh, whether you can misuse of the car park, whether you can sit on a seat allocated to the disabled, and so on, right? So, in terms of attitude, definitely we cannot too much go inside their brain to change their mind. It's not possible. But what the government can do is they can find ways to educate them. Another thing is, of course, now there's a training called DET, Disabilities Equality Training, and Disability Related Service Training, DRST, where we can try to uh, uh, have this kind of a training popular among the private companies, government agencies, to undergo this training, yeah, so that they understand how to deal with a person who's blind, how, if you want to help them, how you want to help them, Same goes to a person with uh,
Apa soalan tu?
hearing impairment, and also with the one who's using wheelchairs, for example. You see, to push, I got an experience myself. So when I was in a shopping complex, I went there for a window shopping. So what happened? I was pushing myself, and then I stopped. I look around, and then I stopped. Suddenly, I saw my wheelchair start moving fast. See, suddenly I turn around and see somebody is pushing me without even asking me where I want to go, without even asking me whether I want to stand there to see what's happening there. They assume that they are doing the right thing, but it's actually not. Yeah, you must be able to know how to help a people with disabilities. Like, for example, a blind person, you cannot hold the white cane and pull and drag that person. There is a method how to assist or help someone with visually impaired to cross the road. So there is a training available at the moment. I think if that training is being used, learned by a lot of people, then changes might happen. Yeah. And one more thing is, if possible, have this thing in the education system itself. Maybe in the primary school, the syllabus, you should have the chapter where to learn about disability. If you have that, maybe from small onward, they'll be starting to learn how to uh, communicate, how not to misuse of the privilege that given for people with disabilities. And if, let's say, the school education ministry can make the entire school accessible, then you can have a lot of people with disabilities going to the school. So in that way, from small itself, people who are not, don't, the students who don't have disabilities will have an opportunity to mingle with these people with disabilities so that when they grow up, they know, they understand about, what is their don'ts and do's and the don'ts, when you uh, mingle with people with disabilities. I'm saying that we are not different from others. We are same from everybody else. It's just that we have some kind of a disability. That doesn't mean that we cannot have able-bodied friends in our life.
Aku rasa aku tak ni kot.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Murugeswaran. How about your perspective, Miss Aida? How can we make this world more inclusive for a person with disability?
I do agree with other speakers' opinion about on how, especially the school accessible school to the disabled pers- uh, person with disabled, right? Because I do remember back in my time when I was trying to register myself into school, I have several issues, um, such as I cannot go to normal school because of my physical limitation, but also I also cannot go to the special school because of my I can do well, right? You get what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of issue in when I want to pursue my education. Actually the challenges is actually mostly mainly for my education actually. Okay. How do we change the attitude, right? I think the mentality, the awareness, the first step of uh, implement the awareness is came from the parent itself. It's a parenting way of teaching your child to respect or to look the disabled people just like normal people. So that
Mm-hmm.
I do remember once again back in my days when I was back in my days when I was younger. Um, I do remember I get bullied in the school because of my disability. Um, I during my middle school experience, I made school. High school, saya pergi ke sekolah perempuan semua. All those school. Kalau during sekolah rendah, saya pergi sekolah campur. So sekolah campur, I get bullied during my sekolah rendah, right? So I think, of course, I do get upset when at that time, at that moment. But I I do believe that if it comes from the parent itself, this thing won't happen to me. Kalau seseorang kalau parents itu memberitahu anak dia bahawa uh, untuk how to respect, how to look other people like the same like normal people, then I think it shouldn't be happen. So noted that orang noted that daripada kecil ni dah kita nak ajar diorang untuk how to respect people, not just disabled people, also the unprivileged people, such as poor people and stuff like that, right? Um, sebab kita one day we believe that orang-orang ni akan memerintah negara. Orang-orang yang ni akan kerja di sektor pendapat awam yang akan kerja dengan banyak orang, right? So of course we need to teach. We need is a parenting style for me myself. I think that's all for me.
Okay, so Mr. Murugeswaran, so before this, you stated a lot of attitudinal barrier concerns. So basically, barrier in definition is something related to very synonym to limitation. So in educational level, how do you see about the current statistics or study that make for the specifically for the disability person. So how do you see about regarding the study and concerns about disability person?
Can I recap your question? Is it you're asking
Sure.
the barriers on people with
Yeah, it's
disabilities
yeah.
going to school, or how is it?
So basically, we have a lot of university. So basically, among the university, they do a lot of research and study. So do you think that the study is adequate for disability topic or disability person section? Basically, a statistic or what? Is it adequate for them, for there to have that concerns?
Okay. Number one thing, of course, I'm going to repeat this again. You see, uh, accessibilities to education system is the most important thing, right? For example, in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, that time the Ministry of Education have launched a program called Zero Reject Policy. Okay, which means family members who have a child with disabilities can send the person to go to the nearest school that available around in India, Taman or something like that. So, which means uh, doesn't matter. The person can have disabilities. They will be able to go to the nearest school that near to their house. They don't have to travel so far. Same goes to, let's say the, the student managed to excel in his education and he managed to get a chance to go to university, public university. The most important thing is, you see, we have 7 categories of people with disabilities in this country. The one is under the Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat. Whether uh, the access to this university allow with different kind of people with disabilities uh, to enter that university and continue with their studies and get graduated easily without any problem. I'm sure that it just allow him to go in there without any support system like SS device and the accessible to the book material, reading material, all the equipment that you have in the university. I'm sure that that individual student is going to struggle, right? And of course, you're not going to do well. So the main important thing is uh, it is not important that you do a lot of studies. It is more important that you make the environment accessible so that people with disabilities can go there and learn, and graduated just like every one of you. Yeah, that is the most important thing that you have to do. We do a lot of studies, we compile a lot of information, and that information you didn't put it into practice, then what's the point you do the studies? Yeah? Yes, this studies is important. From here, you can generate a report. This report must go to the university's highest level to say that we have this problem, so that we need to fix it. And also, it must go to the government level for them to allocate enough money to make the changes. Yeah, report can be compiled. I think you can compile every year, every month, no issues. But the most important thing is the changes. You be allowed to give a person who are blind to go to the university and he can get graduated without any problem. What you must do, you must have braille in all the places that he wants to go. You must have the book material in braille. These are the things you must have. And let's say you are allowing a person who's on a wheelchair to go to the university. What you must have? You must have barrier-free environment. You should be able to access to all places in the university without an obstacle. He's going to the university not depending on his friend is going to help him. That should not be the mentality. He's going to the university to study independently. So what is stopping him? The one is stopping him is actually the barriers that you have in the university itself. I hope I answer your question.
Okay. So I'm not going to deny that there is not many facilities to assist a person with disability, because back then, even Miss Aida needs my help, because there are a lot of train in our schools, and I even myself fell into the train. So I learned that there are two ways of parenting. So the first one is my mother, which is she said that you must show sympathy, demonstrate sympathy to Miss Aida. But then, when I helped Miss Aida with her backpack, packing stuff during after the school, and then her father came to me and scolded me. um, Her father said that you should not do that. She should do it. She should do it herself, because her father want to taught her about self independence. So I'm very, like the first time is very like, oh, this is the way to treat a person with disability, not just demonstrate your sympathy. That is not the way. So, like, physical limitation is not the excuse for a person with disability, because they are beyond than that. So for the next question, I address this question for Miss Aida. So I acknowledge that you are an athlete. Could you please tell us, share with us more about your experience about this?
Thank you, Miss Ellysha. But before that, thank you for your help last time. I do appreciate that. Okay. Yes, I am an athlete of Kedah, of national athlete of Kedah. Um, I do start my journey. I did start my journey when I was in Form 4, I guess. But I swim for leisure daripada kecil, daripada I kecil lagi, because swimming helps my muscle to build my muscle, right? So I really do enjoy swimming. But so I swim for leisure. And then saya selalu swimming dekat satu satu hotel dekat Kedah. And then ada seorang uh, the coach saw me, the coach of Kedah saw me, and he said he he offered me to masuk to join the team. Do you want to join the team? I said no, I cannot join the team because I am disabled, right? So because back then I didn't know about the Paralympic one. I didn't know that the sport for disabled person existed. So I said no, I cannot join your team because I am swimming slow. I am not swimming like other people. So he said no, you can. Why not? So he my coach really trained me well. Um really because to be honest, although I won a lot of medal, a lot of competition, a lot of tournament, but I do admit that I am swimming a little bit slower compared to other normal people, right? So, but alhamdulillah, uh, all these 2 years I joined a lot of competition, and I did won actually. I did won a lot of competitions such as SOMA, Malaysia Open, etc. Then I am now in the middle of training for Para Sukma Johor 2022. And then inshallah, I don't know yet, maybe I will also be joining SEA Games and the next SEA Games. But I don't know uh, my time qualification tu boleh join ke tak. We will try. We'll see.
Okay. Congratulations and good luck to you, Miss Aida. And thank you very much for the inspiration Moving on to the next question. This question is for Mr. Murugeswaran. Mr. As a founder of Damai, what is the role in providing support to person with disabilities? And how does the specific program help person with disabilities?
Well, thank you. Of course, in Damai, the main reason we started this, of course, to help people with disabilities to live an independent life. And the program you can see in the beginning, we start teaching them how to ride a motorcycle, how to drive a car, how to repair wheelchair, how to use computer, how to start a sewing business. These are the basic things I think we've been doing it. But apart from that, of course, our main intention is to put them back into the mainstream society. That is, of course, a lot of companies will call us that they want people with disabilities to work in their company. Then what we will do is we will do a middle person role where we do the matchmaking to make sure that the person can get a job. If let's say the person wants to do a business, then we'll give them all the information where they can go and register their company, where they can get a grant to start the business. What are the facilities provided by the government, this sort of thing. Yeah. So what we do is, as I said, this is like a one-stop center where we have all the details, all the connection, all the information, so that we share with our members. And we started this in 1998. Now it's about 22 years already. I think throughout the journey, we have helped thousands of people with disabilities, directly, indirectly, for them to live an independent life. That's a brief thing about Damai. And apart from that, we know that to help a person to live an independent life, he needs the support of the accessible transportation system, barrier-free environment, uh, access to public places, some of the things you must have. So to make sure that all also okay, we also work with the decision making, like the federal government, local government, to make the improvement. And that's why you can see a lot of things are there now. Like for example, our train system, I think almost 80% of it, I think, accessible in Klang Valley. And the rapid care buses, you can see it is accessible as well. And many other things are also slowly happening. It's changing to make a better Malaysia now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Murugeswaran. The next question, in quality of learning, architecture and design students must be fully capable of design the process. So in addition, Malaysia places a strong emphasis on TVET. So basically, how are they dealing with this situation? How they dealing with TVET? And how can we assist them in ensuring that they can complete their tasks in accordance with this specialized course? So Mr. Muruges, can you start first?
Oh, TVET, technical and vocational education and training, right? For those
Yes.
students who didn't do well in the exam, okay. I think this is something that will help people with disabilities as well. If I'm not mistaken, there are some percentage has been allocated for students with disabilities in this TVET program. I welcome that. Yeah, I think it's a good thing because since our access to education is not so great in this country, so therefore I think this type of program will help them to learn and equip themselves with skills so that they can go out there and do something or start something on your own. I think it's a wonderful program. I encourage that. I hope that uh, the amount of students with disabilities enrolled in this TVET program will increase as days to come. Yeah, I think it is a good thing.
Okay, so how about thank you first thank you Mr. Muruges. So how about you Ms. Aida? So do you think Tibet is a good opportunity for people with a person with disability?
Before I answer the question, I just want to be confirmed that KIRKHS is the vocational program, right?
Yes, that's sure.
Um, before I move on, before I answer the question, let me share my experience. Um, so, um, dulu cita-cita saya nak jadi doktor, tapi and I get into science, aliran science, but my parents said no, you tak boleh masuk aliran science because you cannot do the work. You cannot do the work, right? So I guess I because and then I wonder what work can I do. So I really do think that QBAT actually helps disabled people because my friends, kawan-kawan yang join the competition, swimming competition, mostly adalah masalah pembelajaran. So banyak yang masuk vocational punya program and alhamdulillah one of them through the vocational punya program, alhamdulillah sekarang dia buka kedai bakery dekat rumah dia. So I think it's a good opportunities for the disabled to help them untuk to make some money lah, to earn the money, right? Not only because we do, kita kena tengok jangka masa panjang, not only untuk pembelajaran sahaja, tapi kita juga nak kena tengok how the disabled people, how to help them to survive. Kalau lah parents orang dah tak ada, sebab sekarang most of them bergantung dengan parents, right? Bergantung dengan parents tu. Kalau lah nanti one day parents orang dah tak ada, so how the government, how this program could help them in surviving their own life. So I guess vocational KIRKHS is a good program for the disabled person.
Thank you for both speakers because due to dia punya both perspective. So moving forward, the next question. The government has enacted legislation to prevent person with disability from being excluded from the society. How has the Malaysian government supported you to participate in society? I address this question to Miss Aida.
How the government helped me through my education, is it?
Has the Malaysian government supported you to participate in the society?
In the society, okay. To be honest, I don't know how to answer the question because throughout my journey, I did not engage much on the government punya program, government punya incentive sangat. Sebab throughout my journey, throughout my life, mostly I was on my own. Okay, but how the Malaysian government helped me to be part of the society, I think when the Malaysian government I don't know, is it part of government or the university itself, but right now I'm in the university, so I think I would like to say thank you to the government or thank you to the university for sebab sudi terima saya masuk ke universiti. Sebab dengan dekat universiti, saya rasa macam saya a part of the society, a part of other people punya, macam orang lain juga. So I did not like macam mana nak cakap, like how sebab university really do give an opportunity for me to to be part of the society. Macam hari tu, I was being a director of just one program. It shouldn't be me actually because because of my physical limitation. But the university really said that okay, why don't we give Aida to be the director of this program? Let's see how it goes. So at first I was doubting myself too because I think I cannot do this program because it is a physical program. Due to my physical limitation, I can't do this program. I had doubt. I have self doubt in myself, right? So um, I think I think university really helped me to boost up my confidence to be part of society because I do admit if I kalau lah saya terfikir juga because one of my senior uh, macam saya juga tapi berkerusi roda but was rejected in university. I was thinking if the same thing happened to me, how do I encounter the feeling of rejection? Because I'm not good in rejection, right? So macam saya rasa macam kalau lah the same thing happen to me, how do I feel? Maybe I feel like I'm not in part of society. I feel like saya tak boleh masuk universiti sebabkan physical limitation saya. When saya tak minta pun daripada Tuhan untuk saya jadi macam ni. Tapi saya jadi macam ni. But the university rejected me. Get what I mean? So I guess that's all.
Okay, Miss Aida. So may I recap a little bit? Do you agree lah? Basically, that university accepting and welcoming people with this person with disability in their society. So thank you, Miss Aida, for the clarification and for the explanation. So we go to the next question. This question is mainly for Mr. Murugeswaran. So in several general employee surveys, only a small minority cited concerns over the cost of accommodation as the main reason for not hiring workers with disabilities. So do you think in reality, in the real life, this is the biggest concern for a company to hire a worker with a disability in Malaysia now? So, yeah.
Okay. You see, in 1980s, there is an allocation of 1%. It's a policy. 1% job opportunities in the private sector is allocated for people with disabilities. And same, it also 1% job opportunity should be allocated in the government sector for people with disabilities as well. But to how far that 1% has been achieved is still a question mark because if you talk about Klang Valley only, we have the barrier-free environment and accessible transportation system, maybe to the level of 50 to 60%. And because of that, those people with disabilities who are living in the Klang Valley, they should be able to go to work and come back in the areas that where you have the opportunity. To your question, whether there is a limitation in terms of companies that wants to hire people with disabilities, there are of course not many companies will open up their doors because they might have the perception like people with disabilities they can't fulfill the task that that they want to, right? That is maybe that's perception. But there are also a lot of companies, especially in the IT related work. I can see a lot of companies now opening up their doors to give opportunities for people with disabilities to work for their company. But even though that's a scenario, for you to work in a in a in a companies like these, you need at least the basic qualification like you must be able to know how to use the computer. See, if you don't have the basic IT knowledge, then it's going to be a problem for you to get hired. Even though you get hired, then for you to sustain in that company might be a problem. So that's the reason, you have to have the skill, for you to get employed in a company. I was working in an IT company for nearly 10 years in Cyberjaya. I was working there, and I know how it works. Slowly, slowly, you have to learn. You have to progress, and you have to go to different departments. You cannot be stagnant at one level only. You need to move on, and they will be giving you a lot of training. You should be able to catch up. So whether you are disabled or you are not disabled, any companies that wants to hire you, they will ask for the basic qualification. You must have the qualification to fulfill the task that they're giving it to you. Otherwise, they won't give you free salary every month. That's not the way it's going to work. Yeah, that's the reason why a basic education for the person with disabilities is important for him to at least complete his primary, secondary, maybe to the university level, and undergo certain training courses. Like for example, the TVET is a very good program. These type of things must be available for the young disabled people in this country, for them to equip themselves so that when the opportunities come, they don't let go away. This one is in Klang Valley. But about in remaining 13 states in the country, we don't have uh, the public transportation system like what you have in Kuala Lumpur for them to go and come back, maybe to the school, maybe to the work. And therefore, they need to have their own transportation for them to go and come back. Not everybody have the capacity or capability to buy or own his own vehicle. So it's a commitment by the local government to make this thing happen, to make this thing easier, so that the 600,000 people disabilities that registered with the Kementerian Pembangunan Wanita Keluarga dan Masyarakat JKM can come out and do something. Maybe 10% out of it, maybe 15% out of it can come out to do something in their life on their own. The opportunities are there wide open, but you don't give them an opportunity, then it's going to be a problem. Like I said just now, when I was in overseas, I should be able to take a bus to go to wherever that I want and come back without any obstacle, without asking anybody's help. The same environment must be created for the people with disabilities to come out, to go and come back to their house independently. The key word is independently. Huh? They should remove uh, the charity-based kind of approach to the right based kind of approach in order for them to see more and more people with disabilities come out and do something on their own.
Thank you for the enlightenment. Okay, for the next question, this day the mental illness issue is talking point. Is a talking point, and person with the disability is not excluded. Some person with the disability may also be infected with mental illness such as depression and anxiety. So, what should person with disability do once they feel depressed or anxious, and how should we, as a families and as a friend, support them? I address this question to Miss Aida.
Good question coming from you, Ellysha. Okay, I do admit that I also have anxiety when meeting other people. I also have depressed when I'm sad. I think the ways to overcome it is to dia I rasa saya rasa macam people with disabilities ke, people normal people ke, sama je. Kalau anxiety dan depression dan mental illness semua ni tak ada beza pun, tapi on how to cope with it. Me myself have anxiety issue, uh, especially when I was nervous. I have anxiety. I have a bad anxiety issue. If ada if orang tak tahu, then orang akan ingat saya macam biasa je. But I do have anxiety. So how I cope with anxiety and depression is, I guess, kalau for me lah, how I cope is saya tak suka berdiam diri. Saya akan meluahkan rasa yang sedih itu dekat orang. Itulah saya rasa itulah guna seorang kawan untuk mendengar masalah saya. Of course, nak cakap pasal anxiety tu, depression mesti orang-orang disabled ni lagi banyak depression sebab macam mana? Sebab layanan yang diberikan mereka tak sama macam orang lain orang biasa. So the depression and the pressure would be so great. So I guess how to cope is saya bukan untuk kalau sesetengah orang dia akan pergi berjalan-jalan, but for people with physical limitation, dia susah lah nak pergi berjalan-jalan kan. So I guess do something that you like. Do something that you like, or maybe tell your friends about it. Jangan pendam seorang-seorang, because me myself pun tak suka pendam. I suka bercerita what is my problem, and then having a great supporters of my own family is a very crucial one, because I think without my own family, without my own parents, I can't do this alone. I need my parents' support. Of course, some days I would feel so confident because of my achievement, right? But some days I would be down because of the doubt that I have for myself. So I told my parents that I have doubt in doing certain things. So my parents would convince me that no, Solehah, you can do this. You can do this. You have to do this, and they would give me a real solution to prior to the matters that I just told them. So I guess having a great accompaniment and a great surrounding is much more better for the people who have mental illness and anxiety and so on.
Thank you for sharing with us about your anxiety. So I'm trying to get a new perspective from Mr. V.Murugeswaran on how a person with disability should cope with depressed and anxious, and how should we family and as a friend support them. Maybe you can give a great advice on how to cope with the anxiety to Miss Aida.
What Aida said, I think I totally agree, because the parents is the number one people that will be beside the person. So he or she, who can see, express, and the feeling to the family members, I think they are the one there to help assist them in so many ways. I think number one, to release your feeling, should be able to communicate. Whatever that you have in your heart, you should not keep it in to yourself only. For that to happen, the people surrounding the person must be able to communicate well with the individual. If you don't have a good communication with that person, or just because the person is disabled, is always been excluded from a lot of activities, a lot of programs, then that individual might feel that they have been sidelined. So when that thing happens, they will not open up freely to talk to uh, someone. For example, like in our association, this association is run by disabled for the disabled. You see, sometimes even doctors won't be able to understand them well. But when they come to us, when they see us, because we are on the same condition with them, and we can easily be friends with them, and they can easily open up to talk to us about their problem. That's why we can able to tackle their problems easily compared to sometimes. I'm not saying able body cannot do it, but sometimes able body cannot do it because uh, the the aura and the understanding of the certain issues will be easier for us. I'm not saying not, but it is like that sometimes. But of course, you should not segregate or isolate someone because he or she has a disability. If you segregate and uh, isolate someone because of his disabilities, then they will feel very lonely and depressed. Especially even in university as well, you got so many activities happening. Let's say that particular students with disabilities, of course you know that that person cannot take part in a dance class maybe, for example, but if you can put him in the team that you are in the program, that person will be very happy. Sitting on a wheelchair also sometimes you can do dance, you can sing a song, you can take part in a lot of activities, but don't assume that that person cannot do and you exclude that person. When that thing happen, yeah, you feel hurt inside, but sometimes you don't know how to express it. Then it becomes sad, moody, because of, yeah. Uh, hopefully that that people with disabilities in all sectors, and not only universities, not only in their families, not only in the working place, if you can include them in all the programs that you do, you do not exclude them because you assume that that person cannot take part, then they inside, they will feel, they've been sidelined. That is actually hurting, and because of that, they will keep quiet. They will silent themselves. They don't talk. Yeah. So hopefully that won't happen. To sometimes it accumulate. It accumulate, and then at one stage, they will become a person like you cannot communicate at all. It become a mental torture. So hope that can be avoided. We all become treat people like a human being, whether the person got disability or not. It doesn't matter. But if you treat everybody equal, then I think that this problem can be reduced. I won't say it can be eradicated, but I'm saying that can be reduced.
Okay, thank you for the clarification and the explanation, Mr. Murugeswaran. So yes, I agree with both speakers. So we go to the next question, and maybe this another rest of the question you can answer it just in a brief because we don't have much time. So next question is as Mr. Murugeswaran said before, the Malaysian government has enacted several acts or policies to support or to help person with disability. So do you think that the act or the policy has assisted person with disability in their life, and how could it be improved? So this question is mainly for Mr. Murugeswaran.
Okay, the Person with Disabilities Act was enacted in 2008. Yes, of course, it is good. After a long struggle, after 10 years of struggle, we got the act passed in the parliament in 2008. But the problem now is the act is without a penalty clause. Some of our disabled people are calling the PWD Act as a toothless act because you cannot use that act to take action against a lot of people. Yeah. So the act need to be strengthened. I assume that the government are looking into it. Hopefully, it can be done as soon as possible. And bear in mind, in 2008 also, we signed the Convention on the Right of Persons with Disabilities under the United Nations called CRPD. So in that CRPD as well, it says very clearly that the right of person with disability should be upheld, right? So therefore, I think it's the right time that the, the ministry in charge take responsibility to make sure that our act become a powerful act so that the discrimination against disabled people, people with disabilities in this country can be eradicated. Thank you.
Aku baca. Okay, so basically, thank you for the enlightenment of the acts and policy of this the current the current position. So the next question overall, how could the practice of disability inclusion be improved in Malaysia in general? You can short it and you can brief it in general. So basically, we gonna start with Mr. Murugeswaran first.
Sorry, can repeat again? How can?
I repeat this question. So, how could the practice of disability inclusion can be improved in Malaysia in general?
Of course, policy need to be changed. Yeah, as I said, if you amend the PWD Act to strengthen it, I think a lot of people will follow what is stated inside there, right? And also, very importantly, the local government also must play a very important role to make the changes. If you can make the changes in providing uh, barrier-free environment and accessible transportation system to all people with disabilities, I think uh, uh, the inclusion part will be there. And of course, do not look at people with disabilities as the tools for you to take pictures to be popular during uh, festival season, during election season. You use people with disabilities to take pictures with them to be popular. But when that individual has the responsibility as member of parliament or member of ADUN, local government, that they should protect the right of each and every individual that voted for them in their constitution. That is more important than taking pictures and putting it in the paper.
Okay, thank you, sir. So basically, government is important in protecting the needs for the overall needs or overall safe for the disability person. So
Yeah, Mr. Muhammad,
to
I
the
think
we come,
no, I
yeah.
must correct you that. I think the government is the representative that been elected by the people of Malaysia, right? The government, it is not different. The government are the people, so-called member of parliament, so-called ADUN that been elected by the people. This is the government. So if the people that been elected fulfill their responsibility and do what is stated in the constitution, then I think you can eradicate these uh, differences between able-bodied and disabled people in this country. That is very important.
Thank you for the clarification, Mr. Murugeswaran. We come to the last question, which is this is question. This question is mainly for conclude the overall session. So, what is the future prospect for person with disability in Malaysia? So, Miss Aida, you can start first.
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat the question?
I repeat the question. So, what is the future prospect for person with disability in Malaysia?
Future prospect. We can't really say, but I do hope. I do hope there's a lot more learning opportunities for disabled people. I do hope there's a lot more working opportunities for the disabled people, and I hope there will be less discrimination because we disabled people face a lot of discrimination uh, regarding our education, regarding our our working experience because due to our physical limitation. So I really hope the future prospect would be tak ada lagi alasan physical limitation, and I do hope the government or the wakil rakyat or the sesiapa je yang boleh tolong, sesiapa je yang liable untuk tolong, do help these people not to be looking so pathetic. Kita orang as a disabled people tak nak pun nampak pathetic. Kita orang tak nak pun sympathy. But we do hope that other people, semua orang treat kita macam orang yang normal. So tak ada lagi macam alasan yang orang nak cakap yang you tak boleh macam ni sebab your physical limitation. Memanglah tak boleh sebab our physical limitation, tapi please do help us instead of making us looking pathetic. But so why don't you help us in doing what we can do? So I guess that's it.
Okay, thank you, Miss Aida, for the final conclusion. So let's go to the Mr. Murugeswaran. So what is your prospect? What is the future prospect for person with disability in Malaysia? You can please, Mr. Murugeswaran.
I think the future is there, not from the way I look at it, but we need a strong government and a strong commitment in order for us to progress. Give you a few examples. You see, it took us 60 years to educate Barisan National Government last time. And once the things are moving, the government changed. And it took us nearly 1 year to educate the second government, so-called Pakatan Harapan. So after that, the government also collapsed. See? Then we back to square one again. Now we have new government. So this new government also, from the way I look at it, is not going to be long. It's going to be election very soon. So hopefully, the next government that we're going to have is a strong government that can serve the people for 5 years. So it's easier for us to work with them towards the changes happening in this country. If let's say every time the decision-making people change, then it's very difficult for people with disabilities as well, because all our effort become back to zero again, because we need to educate the new people with disabilities. So hopefully, at this time after the election, I think very soon we can have a good government for us to to uh, to have holistic changes for people in this country and including for people with disabilities.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Murugeswaran. So it is the time for the closing, and I would like to apologize for any for my mistake to drag the time, and thank you very much to both speakers for bringing this session to a close with such delightful remarks and prospects. To summarize, disability is not a disadvantage for individuals. Rather, it is a challenge for them to continue to rise in order to achieve their dreams and goals. People around them, as well as government, serve as a support system to help them achieve their goals. We live together as a beautiful society, and no matter how powerful or flawed you are, we must stay together and support one another. This is the beauty of inclusion. So again, I like to thank both speakers for participating in this webinar. Thank you for coming despite your busy schedules, Miss Aida, Solehah, Binti, Ahmad, Fauzi, and Mr. V. Murugeswaran. Furthermore, thank you to everyone who took the time to listen and share this webinar. Your participation is greatly appreciated. I would also like to apologize for any inconvenience that occurred during the session. And as a moderator, I would like to apologize on behalf of Sister Ellysha and myself for any inconvenience caused. So okay, now we please get ready for a photography session for the speaker. So I pass the stage to Sister Ellysha. Okay, everyone, put your biggest smile and thumbs up. Buka mic kau cakap dulu.
1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you for having us.
Okay, finally I ended this session with wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and thank you everyone. Have a good Friday.